Hey, what's up, guys? So, I want to say Happy New Year. Congratulations on making another year. You're a business owner. You made it through another year. Super excited about this opportunity. The reason why I'm excited, honestly, is because there's so many changes going on in the world, the economy, and you as a business owner, you're still thriving, you're still growing. If you're watching this, I mean, you're still growing. So I'm really excited about this opportunity. Today, what I want to do is, at the end of last week, you probably realized I either hit some goals or I didn't hit some goals. So today, what I want to do is give you an opportunity to kind of set the precedence for this upcoming year, 2024. So I do believe in creating opportunities of out of action, right? I don't really believe in setting goals. Goals is kind of one of those cliche things that people use that typically prevents them from actually accomplishing things, right? So what I want to do today, guys, is give you an opportunity for you to look at the things that you want to accomplish and actually put together an actual game plan to accomplish those things. Okay, so let's get started.
Ugly.
So,
Not done yet. Okay. I'll
so
tell
what
you
I
when they're
have
done.
right here is a PDF. You guys can take a look at the PDF. If you have questions, just shoot me a message, and we're going to go through it. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is just look at how is 2023. Look at your performance. What happens a lot of times when we look at like the grand scheme, we look at the years as a whole, we forget, oh crap, I had this win, I had that win. I hit an income goal, or I got a certain amount of clients. So one of the things that I want you to do is kind of be present in the moment and really just take a look back or a flashback at 2023 and see what happened. If it was some bad things, okay, let's look at that. What attributed to those things being bad? So let's look at the performance and achievements of 2023 and let's use that to project into 2024. Okay. So the next thing we want to look at, what is the vision for 2024? Do you want to have sustainable growth? Do you want to enhance market presence, optimize operations? Like, what is your actual goal? Because it's not always the money aspect of it, where it's like, I want to make an extra $30,000 or $40,000. Maybe it's, hey, I don't want to work in the actual field anymore. I don't want to actually talk to clients. I want to maybe bring somebody on that can actually do the work for me, where I have to think about, okay, um, I gotta be in front of people to make money. But maybe that's your thing. Maybe it's I hate sending emails. Maybe it's I hate talking to clients. Or whatever it is, let's look at that thing, and now let's put together a game plan for that. So whatever your vision is, you now create that thing. So if it's you don't want to be in front of clients, write that down. My vision for 2024. I don't want to be in front of clients to make money. I don't want to have to call clients. I don't have to follow up with clients. Whatever that thing is, let's put that down and start to work on that now. Okay. So let's look at your marketing and budget and marketing and branding. Your marketing and branding is going to be so important when it comes to actually growing your business because this is the thing that's going to really set you apart. Is really how do you actually get clients and how do clients perceive you in the marketplace? Okay. So what success did you have in marketing and branding your business in 2023? So it could have been you had some events that you did. It could have been you successfully send out emails once a week or you send out emails every month. Whatever your thing is, what are some of those goals or successes that you had in 2023? Now let's look at those as benchmarks. And the next step is what can we do to improve on those benchmarks so that we can hit our new achievement or our new precedents for 2024. Okay. The next thing is what metrics are you tracking that will show your business is growing. If you look at your business and you say, man, I don't feel like my business is growing, you have to actually track the data to know if your business is actually growing. The good thing about numbers don't lie. Like, right, like you guys heard like the Jay-Z song, the numbers don't lie, right? If you look at your business and even if you went from 50,000 to 51,000, guess what? That is growth, right? Now, I'm sure you're going to want it to grow, from a larger scale than that. But the good thing is you can actually look at, okay, where did my business not grow? Or why didn't my business grow as much as I expected? But you can't do this if you're not tracking the small things. How many people are you reaching out to? How many people are actually reaching out to you about your product or service? How many clients are you talking to on a consistent basis? How many things are you sending out? All those are things that you can control. You can actually you can control those things when it comes to your output. Okay. Then you want to develop a comprehensive marketing plan. So when you look at your marketing plan, and the reason why this is so important is you want to look at what is it that I'm going to do that's going to effectively get me the result that I want. So if it's to get more clients, if it's to get more email addresses, if it's to get more names and numbers, whatever that thing is, what is it that I'm going to do to be able to actually hit that thing? So now let's backtrack that. I seen something today that I really like. Someone says instead of hitting KPIs, create KPAs, right? So your KPAs is your key performance actions. So your key performance actions can be something like if I call or if I send out 20 free consultation invites per day, then now I can track what I'm actually doing. And the good thing about it is you track that 20 invites per day. Maybe you get 4 or 5 people to actually book. But now you have a regimen where you're getting 4 or 5 people to book every single day. That's an action, right? Now you can tie that into your marketing. And now I actually have an actual plan on how I can get X amount of clients. So I know that if I'm sending out 20 people, I'm getting 4 clients a day. If I want to, guess what? If I want to get 10 people, I just double that or quadruple that number. Okay. And I created this agenda, guys, for a client. I realized I was like, wait a minute, this is a general agenda that can be used for 2024. So if some of the things don't apply, don't use it. But implement influential collaborations and strategic partnerships. So I've always talked about using venture partnerships, and the good thing about this is you're using the credibility of someone else who has your target audience, right? So you want to be looking at who has my audience, who is somebody that I can collaborate with so that I can actually take some of their audience and sell my product or service to them, right? So if you think about podcast is a great opportunity. It's so simple, guys. Like everyone has a microphone. It's so easy to get on podcasts. Take a few days out of the week or a few hours out of the week. Reach out to people that has podcasts and say, hey, do you mind? What is the process for me to be a guest on your podcast? Go talk to that podcast, do an amazing interview. You're gonna get more people to follow you, more people to buy your products or whatever. That's a great thing that you can do. If you don't want to do that, start your own podcast. If you have the time, you have the energy, start your own podcast. It's super simple. Set up an account or whatever. Start, do like an audio podcast. So those are just things that you can do to kind of get yourself in the right position. And add this point to it as well. Even within, if you decide to start a podcast, let's go back to what we were talking about before, a comprehensive marketing plan. That can be included in your marketing plan. But if you're going to do something like that, make sure it's advantageous. It's not just something that you're just doing. If you start a podcast, make sure you start a podcast or interview your potential clients or people that you've actually helped. And then that way you can actually use that as a tool for marketing. Okay. Implement feedback loops. So your feedback loop is something that you want to look at. So if you have clients that you've worked with, from 2023, guys, just take this first week, literally just call your clients from last year. Call all of your clients from 2023. Call them. You just want to do a quick survey. Hey, I just want to ask you, if you have a quick second, I just want to ask you 3 questions. And you just find whatever questions that fit your industry. It could be something like, how was the service? What could I have done better? What's one thing that you would want to see me improve on? Whatever those questions are, you want to get some type of feedback. This is called a feedback loop. When you do this, now you can if you start to hear the same thing, people are saying, yeah, I really love your service, but your prices were just way too high, or you was like really rude or something like that. If you keep hearing the same thing over and over about your service, what that means is you probably want to listen to it. So take that opportunity to actually listen to that and implement it into your business. So maybe if you're the rude person, within your business, maybe have someone else actually talk to clients so that you can take yourself out of the loop and you can still grow your business, still have a successful business, but someone else is actually front facing when it comes to clients. So you want to implement things like that. So implement a feedback loop into your business for 2024. And this is also a good way to get reviews. So if you have issues getting reviews, You could do a quick Zoom. Hey, listen, I'm just gonna ask you a few questions if you don't mind. I am gonna record it. When they give you a good feedback, guess what? Take that, edit the clip. Now you have your review from that client, and you don't have to pull in the teeth or whatever because everyone knows how difficult it can be to get reviews. Okay. Um, then you want to so then we're looking at operationally, what can be done. And I'm not going to go through all of these guys just from time's sake. But if you have questions, I'm gonna go through the majority of them. The next thing you want to look at from an operational perspective. So conduct a thorough review of your existing processes, right? So think about what you do on a consistent basis, right? So for me, I'm gonna say for an example, if I'm doing emails, right? That process for creating an email is I have an idea, and what I'll do is I have a running document that I'll use, and it may be like subject lines or ideas for actual emails that I want to create. So I'll use that, or I'll have an idea. I'll put it on the document. Then when it's time to come up with an email, I'm like, oh crap, I don't know what to think. I mean, I don't know what to create an email about. Okay, boom, let's put it about this. Um, and then, so what I can do is now I can start to look at that process of how I'm creating emails and make it easier on myself. So I may just say, I can use Chat GPT for an example to say, create me 12 email ideas around this subject, right? And it'll just spit out 12 ones. Now I just copy and paste that into a document. Once I copy and paste that into a document, now I can just use that to create my emails. Then I can go in and say, hey, create me an email. So there's just so many different things that you can do to actually um, to correct whatever processes you have in place. So just look at whatever's working, figure out how can I make this process easier on myself. Okay. So if I do something like that, that takes away the time that it takes to actually think of an email or create an email. And that's just one aspect of it. Okay. Um, so the next thing is identify bottlenecks, guys. So um, and I want to explain what a bottleneck, if anyone doesn't know exactly what that is. So if you think about an actual bottle, right? So you have the bottle. You always notice that the base of a bottle is always wider than the top, right? So this right here is what's considered the bottleneck. If you think about if you're pouring this out, if I pour out this bottle of water, it slows down or it actually speeds up because it's a smaller circumference, right? But the reason why is because it's not the same distance and it's more water trying to get through a smaller space. So that's the same aspect when you think about your business. Sometimes there's things that you are preventing within your business that doesn't have to be prevented, right? It could be delegated to someone else. It could you could be slowing down the process. So look at within your business, what are you doing and what's some things that you can do to speed up the processes within your business? So if it's creating proposals, maybe you don't have to create proposals, or if it's like talking to clients, maybe that's something that somebody else can do. Um, hire someone to create like a template of a proposal, and now you just use that instead of creating one every time. So there's so many different things that you can look at within your business to know what's working and what's not working. And if you see that there's an area or something where potentially maybe a bottleneck where it's taking you more time than it should, then look at how can I fix this area. All right. And if you guys have ideas or examples, just put it in the chat, or any potential bottlenecks that you want me to address. I will address it because I know that could be. You may be thinking like, "Damn, I don't know where my potential bottleneck could be." And if that's the case, just let me know. All right, then we're gonna look at. I'm skipping. I'm not hitting every single point, guys, just so we're clear. So then let's look at the growth plan. So evaluate new markets for potential expansion. That's pretty self-explanatory. Conduct a market research to assess feasibility. Feasibility, guys, is similar to like a business plan in a sense, but feasibility is what's called like a feasibility study. What that is pretty much like looking at a business and like seeing if this is something that can actually grow. What are the potential hiccups in the market? Is this a growing market? And you can literally look in whatever market that you're in, and it can tell you um, if this is a growing market, if this is an industry that's growing, or if it's if it's going slow, or if it's shrinking, whatever. You want to make sure that you're in a market that is growing. I had a situation. This was a couple years ago. I was working with a client who had a really successful business. Like they were on track to do probably close to probably under half a million, for a year, which they were projected. And this was right after, oh, this was right in COVID, and they were in the healthcare industry. And the great thing about the market or the business model was that there was such a high need for what they were doing. And after about 6 or 7 months, the need for industry started to like slow down like tremendously. And obviously that's nothing that's nothing that can be you couldn't have guessed it. But you have to know that, okay, crap, like my industry is done, and the industry died out, like which is crazy within a couple months. And now you just have to pivot. Like, all right, what else can I offer that is still in demand? So you always want to be looking at, okay, is this something that's on the up and up, or is this something that could be potentially dying? So that's why it's important too not to get into trends. Anything that's trending, you don't want to even waste your time because you don't have the longevity to know if it's something that's going to be profitable. Um, yeah, so that's that. All right. And if you have questions, just put it in the chat for me, okay? All right. So then strategic alliances. So I talked about this a little bit before when we were talking about venture partnerships. So think about, write down potentially 2 to 3 businesses or industries that you can partner with. So think about clients or businesses do something similar to what you do, and just look at, how can that benefit you. So for an example, Nicole does work with businesses in regards to insurance and for the staff. You can look at business brokers. A business broker will be a great complementary business because they only talk to businesses, right? They're talking to businesses who are in the process of either selling or closing their business down. So that's a great business to talk to. Um, that's a great business to talk to because they're literally coming to you, and that's your target audience. Okay. All right. So one of the questions is about automation. I thought about automating my initial contact with info videos, guiding them through the process. What would you include in the text and email? Um, yep, absolutely. So yeah, so I want to make sure I understand your question. So you thought about automating your initial contact. So this is before you have a conversation, I'm assuming, with the client, and you want to guide them through the process of getting or like the needed information. Okay. So the biggest thing is you want to look at like a FAQ. So think about like if you've done enough appointments now where you should have an idea of the questions that people typically ask, right? So it may be is this group coverage versus individual? What happens if the client, maybe these are the questions, I'm not even sure. What happens if the client leaves or the customer leave or employee leaves? Whatever those clients are, and you can include some of those things as like kind of nuggets within your text and email. Um, but for the most part, to be honest, like I think I'm big on like the initial contact just kind of being more personal, right? So if you're not going to physically do it yourself, then make sure that you can like customize it to that business, right? So for an example, I had someone today that I had a demo today that I did with a client, and one of the things I did was I looked up all the information. I looked up information about their business. I found out they had a business partner. I found out some of their aspirations just from like just research and looking at their Facebook, whatever. Because now when I go into this conversation, I want to have an idea of where they're going. So that's something that you can do too. If you have an idea of the person, you can if you know the owner, you can go to their Facebook. What's some of the things they like to do? What's some of the things they like to talk about? And then include that so you can personalize it so that now it's not just a generalized video that you're sending out, because that takes away from personalization. So just figure out a way where you can personalize as much as possible. And I hope that answers your question. Okay, good, good, good. Yeah. Okay. It's a great question. Um, this is actually on topic too, Kiki. So the question was, should you quote a price on an initial conversation or get back with a customized proposal? This is an amazing question. And to be honest, it's really one of those things where it's kind of, it's case by case. I hate generalizing, questions, but um certain sure so I believe in um within the sales process. I believe time is such a evident piece, right? So you have some times where people will say something like, okay, let me start here. The four biggest objections when it comes to sales is time, it's spouse, it's money, and then it's belief, right? So in my opinion, I always believe that if I don't get a decision on the initial conversation, my chances of closing that sale has now been reduced by almost 80%, right? Now, what you can do is, before you actually even talk about pricing, you always want to get these small confirmations. So you want to know, is it something they are ready to do today, right? Is it something that fits their, does this service fit what they're looking for? You want to know of all the decision makers are here. Like, so those are things you want to know even before you talk about pricing. So what I would do, one of the things I would say is, so far, does this sound like something that would benefit you? Or I ask a question similar to that. Does this sound like something that, and does it sound pretty good? And when I ask them that, they say, oh yeah. And then I may even ask, so like when are you thinking about, making this decision? Like, when are you thinking about making this purchase? Is it something like just down the road, or is it something that you're thinking about doing, within the next couple of days, or today? And how much research have you done, right? So once you kind of do a discovery and find out exactly where they are within the product, they'll tell you for the most part. Then you can go into pricing. Before you talk about pricing, you ask permission to go into pricing, right? So does everything make sense? Okay, cool. So like, where would you like to go? You can ask this, where would you like to go from here? And then you say, oh, okay, well, how much does it cost? Like, if they ask you, okay, cool. Now you ask me how much it costs. Let me talk about pricing. So then you can go into it. But you want to get confirmations before you go into pricing. If not, what's going to happen? They can get sticker shock if the pricing is too high. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, all right, thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, this is great information. Yeah, I'll get back to you, right? Once you've done that, you have to realize, oh crap, I didn't answer something before I got to pricing. That's the only reason that happens. Something wasn't answered before you got to pricing, right? You didn't qualify them correctly. Maybe you didn't ask a money question. Like, what did you budget for this to do this thing, right? That's a question that you can ask. So, so to answer your question, Kiki, I would do it on the initial conversation. I would talk about pricing on an initial conversation, but I would get the confirmations before I do talk about pricing. And proposals, some people are proposal people. For the most part, if you can get a confirmation, get that done, ASAP. And then another thing that you can do, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go think about it. Okay, cool. Well, listen, let's do this. Since I have you on the phone now, let's do a small deposit. I'll send you over a proposal. If you decide within the next, 7 days or whatever, that this is not something that you want to move forward with, I'll send you your forward deposit back, right? What this does is, this is another way to get a commitment. Only thing that you want to know, you want to get a hard yes or hard no. Like when it's that in between, I want to think about it. Send me a contract. That stuff has been that stuff is doesn't really benefit you overall because now you're in limbo. You don't know exactly where they're going with it. Yeah. So I've been testing this to see which one works. I need to work more my qualifiers and SOP. Yep. So just again, you've been doing it long enough to kind of have a good idea of like people that you want to work with, people that you don't. So it's ask the right questions. Your questions are going to literally lead you. Think about your questions in the discovery. Those questions are literally for you. And you have to think about how can I ask a question that's going to get them to tell me what I want them to say, right? So you want them to say things like what I want to buy today. So ask a question that's centered around, they're ready to buy today. If it's, if it's a budgeting question, you can ask questions around budgeting, like, typically something like this. Have you done the research to know typically like the pricing range that something like this will cost? You can ask something like that. And then say, yeah, we've done the research. Okay. So, based on that, like, what have you budgeted for this particular thing? Right. And they're going to typically say something that's, it's not going to be that close to the range, or they're going to say something lower than their actual range, which is fine. But that kind of gives you an idea. But what this does, again, this qualifies that person. Because if they say, well, yeah, I budgeted $100, but this is a $1,500 service, then you know that, now, oh, okay, so you budgeted $100, okay. So what exactly, do you plan to, what's your expectation? So now we have to get back to either unrealistic or they're not telling the truth about what they actually have budgeted for this thing. And then you can dive deeper into the pricing so you can know exactly where the misstep is. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right. I think this is the last section or close to the end. So you look at, oh, good, good, good. Look at the revenue growth. You look at your financials, right? So I put financials at the end, and the reason why is because you know the financials and the revenue is a result of these other things, right? There's so many other things that are way more important than, and Kiki gonna hate me for saying that, not hate me, but she's gonna disagree with me for saying this. There's so many other things that's important other than the finances that, if done correctly, those things directly affect the finances, right? So if you get these things correct, the finances is nothing that you have to worry about. Okay. So you want to set realistic revenue targets for each quarter. I think that you should look at the year. I think that's important, but you want to look at the quarter. And then once you look at the quarter, break it down to the month. And then once you look at the month, you can break it down to the weeks, days, literally. And because you want to be thinking about, all right, what is my income driven opportunities or activities, right? So um, sending emails typically isn't an income driven opportunity unless it's like a sales email. But if it's like, responding to a client or something like it can be. I'm not gonna say that. Emails can be, but typically they're not. Your income producing activities are you actually reaching out to clients, you having conversations with clients to actually sell your product or service. So you want to be thinking about, even if it's something as simple as how many times a day am I actually selling or making an offer, right? So that could be your KPA, right? Your KPI. How many times am I actually saying, "Hey, would you like to buy my thing? Whatever your thing is, would you like to buy my thing?" Right? And that's something that you can track, so you can kind of have an idea of, okay, if my income is down, how many times did I make an offer today? Right? If that number is 5 or 6 or 20, whatever, then now all right, this is how I can grow by literally looking at what I'm doing, my output, and this is going to directly influence my input. I mean, my input versus my output. Okay. Monitoring just pricing strategies is needed. So this is an opportunity, guys, where within your business, if you can control your pricing, I don't recommend discounting. I don't recommend dropping prices, in these days because essentially from an economy standpoint, guys, you run a business. You guys all have families. You all have things that you have to take care of. I don't recommend dropping prices. I don't recommend discounting. You guys provide a service that is a top tier service. You're going to do your best by clients. So as a result, you should get paid for the service that you offer. Now, I am not one of those people that say, charge your word for whatever, right? That's not necessarily what I'm saying. But I am saying if you do provide a good service, you're going to pay for that good service, right? And that has to be understood. You don't when you go to a Rolls Royce dealership, you have to even qualify before you can even go into the dealership. It's not a thing of them asking or you asking them, hey, can I get a discount on this or that? You can't even come in yet. You can't, no, not even a test drive. You can't even come in until you're qualified, right? So think about your service the same way. Where why am I discounting this product or service? If you don't have to, don't do it. Okay. But look at your pricing strategies in ways where you can not discount, but still give more value. So, for an example, um, I think this was yesterday. I think it was. I was on a sales call, and the the client uh, the client had a issue with the pricing, right? So instead of discounting the pricing, what I did was I increased the term, right? So I don't want to change the price. The price is the price. But what I can do is I can give you a more of an opportunity to pay for it, or I can add in something else to make it more valuable to you. But I'm not going to discount the pricing, right? So that's what you want to be thinking about. How can I add more to it opposed to take away to make it more feasible for someone else? Okay. And that same thing can be used for you guys. If you're offering your pricing for something and they're like, man, that's outside of my budget. Okay, cool. So what did you have budgeted for this thing? What was your cash on hand for this project? And if they say a number that's even close, if it's 1,500 and they say 1,000, then okay, cool. That's not an issue. So what we can do, I'll just give you instead of 30 days to pay for it, you put 1,000 down that you have cash on hand, and then I'll let you pay off the 500 over a certain period of time, right? And that way they can still get everything done that they wanted to get done. You still get your money, right? And you keep it moving. Cool. Um, Explore upsells and cross sell opportunities. So your upsells are, I had this bottle of water, 16-ounce bottle of water, and but instead of this, if you buy today, you actually get a gallon bottle of water, for a similar price, right? That's an upsell. A cross sell is, I have this bottle of water, but also what I'm going to do, or something else that I sell is water flavoring. So now you can put the little package of flavoring in the water, so the water is more enjoyable, right? For a special price. So that will be considered cross selling. Okay. So think about things that you offer. What else can I offer to make this a better, to give more value to the client? So if your client is going to buy something with you look at the sales process for a client and whatever thing that you sell. So if it's water, let's think about the sales process for water. You need water, right, to drink. But then once I drink this bottle of water, I'm going to do what? I'm going to throw it in the trash. So some people will recycle it, right? So what if I just said, hey, here's a bottle of water, and then also I'll do your recycling as well, right? That's a cross sell. But it's the process because I'm gonna buy the water, I'm gonna drink the water, and then I'm gonna recycle it anyway. So what if I can just step in and just kind of be the person that does the recycling as well, and you get a special pricing or whatever for that. Okay. All right. Conduct a thorough cost analysis. A cost analysis is literally just looking at your pricing, your expenses, and looking at, how you can cut costs and build profit within your business. Identify areas of cost reduction without compromising quality. Implement a cost control plan. Maybe you'll have like a metric or a number where you say, okay, well, my expenses can't exceed this number, and that'd be kind of like your flashing lights, where you can say, okay, all right, I need to cut back. I got to figure out because I'm at my expense level. Okay. Develop a detailed financial forecast for 2024. So this can be difficult sometimes, but if you use your numbers from last year, use 2023 to create a forecast for this year, right? And I always say, when you're doing forecasting is literally just pretty much like coming up with numbers that you think that you're going to hit, right? Which is okay. It's done all the time in business. But what you want to look at is, all right, how can I take the emotion out of it, right? And this is what I mean by that. If you made 15,000 last year and you say, okay, next year, 2024, I'm going to make 200,000. That's emotion, right? Unless you have a clearly defined action plan that spells out, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and if I do this, then I'm going to hit that goal of 200,000. Okay, so but you want to make sure that you're taking the emotion out of it. A 10% growth is cool. Like if you go from 15,000 to what's that? 15. Let's say 20. And it's less than 20, but let's say 20. But that's okay. That is definitely okay for you to do. It's 17,000. So I mean, but that's okay if you do something like that, right? But you want to make sure that you're actually hitting your goals and that you're actually putting out realistic goals that you can obtain. The downside to doing something like creating a goal where you're like, all right, I'm gonna go from 15,000 to 200,000. What happens is, mentally, you start to be okay with not hitting goals. Okay. And you start to accept the fact that mentally, you don't say it out loud, but you start to accept the fact that I'm not a goal getter, right? I just set things, and this is why I don't believe in setting goals. If you set your intention around, I'm going to do this thing, and the result is going to be I'm going to accomplish this thing. This is going to be the result. Then cool. But you don't want to just set goals just out of the emotion, and then you put yourself in a position where not only do you not hit the goals, now you start to lie to yourself. You start to say, oh, I didn't hit the goal, but it's okay, because it's not okay because you actually hit that goal because you wanted to hit it. Okay. So, so you want to make sure that, it's detailed, it's a actual attainable goal that you actually set. Now, once you set this, or forecast, I didn't even say goal. Once you set this forecast for 2024, you want to put this in a place where you're going to see it. So, I recommend writing it down and having it on the back of your door, like in a place that you work at. Like if you work from home or something like that, put it where you're going to see it. What I do is, any goal that I set, I'll write it down on a small piece of paper and I put it over a light switch. Because now every time I go to cut off the light switch, I see that number and I'm programmed to think about, oh crap, 50,000 or 100,000, whatever that number is, right? I also change all of my passwords to that goal. So my Cash App and some passwords I use is 500K, right? So the goal is to hit 500K. But now when I think about putting in this password, or if I look at whatever, I'm thinking that I'm looking at a program in my mind to look at 500K. So that's something that you guys can do as well, so that you don't forget about the goal that you actually set. Review this stuff at least every quarter, and now it's going to be in the front of your mind. Now, and this is, I didn't even put this into the notes, but this is next level. One of the things that you guys, it's about expectations, like expecting to be where you want to be. So one of the things that you want to do as well, you want to look at, you're growing a company, right? So think about, if you work in a company, you have meetings, at least sometimes if you do in sales it's every day. Sales meetings, but definitely at least weekly or monthly, right? You want to do the same thing within your business as well, right? So, and the reason why a lot of times businesses don't grow like they want to is because they don't never review what's actually happening within the business. They're just going through the day to day of business and chasing clients, but not even thinking about how can I actually grow operationally? How can I actually grow from an aspect of the actual things that I'm trying to accomplish on a consistent basis? Because they're looking at they're focusing on the wrong goals. So you guys should be thinking about how can I have meetings now at whatever level you are, have meetings now before you even get to the place where you want to go, right? So you know, Terrence, I'm only one person. How can I have a meeting with myself? So you can do literally have a meeting by yourself. Where you're actually checking yourself, um, or what you can do is find an accountability partner. And with that accountability partner, you guys, somebody that you feel comfortable talking about some of these things with, you don't have to go into detail about how much money you're making and all that stuff. You know, whatever you're comfortable with sharing. But you guys meet once a week, once a month, whatever, and it's just an accountability check. I said I was gonna reach out to 20 people per day, which would be what's that, 600 people for the month, and I only reached out to 200 people for the month. All right, Terrence, why did you reach out to 600 people for the month? Such and such happened, whatever, whatever. But now you have a way to push yourself, because if not, what happens is you become okay with not hitting your goal of reaching out to 600 people per month. You're okay. You just, okay, I only reached out to 200, but 200 is better than 100, right? And now you get into this cycle of, again, not hitting your goals and accepting where you are, opposed to actually wanting to having a growth mindset. Okay. All right. Ensure alignment with growth and operational plans. So make sure that everything is aligned. Like, don't make sure, and this is why it's important to kind of to meet too. You want to make sure that everything is talking to each other within your plans for 2024. Like, you don't want to have a plan to do 200,000, but you know you're only going to work once a month. I mean, once a week, right? That doesn't really, it's going to be really hard, right? Unless you're just a straight monster in that one day. But that's gonna be really difficult. So make sure that everything is aligned with your growth and operational plans. Please, oh, I got a couple more. All right. Define and monitor KPIs. We pretty much talked about that already. Quarterly reviews, conduct quarterly reviews to assess progress, identify areas for improvement, and adjust strategies accordingly. Okay. So guys, so this is again, this is the agenda that we created for today for 2024. Hopefully this is a good training. If you have questions, make sure you just reach out, and I'll address whatever questions that you do have. And I hope this is good information for you and you're able to go and crush 2024. The good thing about this is, like, you really control your destiny. There's a poem that I learned when I was in college that says that you are the master of your fate, right? And you are the master of your fate. And that's not a religious thing. It's saying that you control your tomorrow today. Okay. So make sure that you go and crush it. Make sure you go and put yourself in position to win. Don't make decisions out of ego. Don't make decisions out of what should have been. Make decisions out of what you can accomplish and what you're going to accomplish. So this is action-based thinking. And I hope you guys go and crush it in 2024. I'm out. Peace.